Let me ask you a question. Have you ever wondered why some nations rise while others remain stagnant? Why one country, America, has not only risen but soared, becoming the most powerful force on earth? From its very inception, America was built on a radical and revolutionary idea that freedom is not granted by rulers, but is a birthright of every individual. This wasn't just a political philosophy. It was a foundational belief system that shaped the very DNA of the nation. The Declaration of Independence didn't just announce a separation from Britain. It declared to the world that individuals had the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And that one concept, liberty, became the spark that ignited a fire in the minds of millions. The power of that vision cannot be overstated. It attracted dreamers, visionaries, rebels, and risk-takers from across the globe. People came not for guarantees, but for possibility. That's key. America didn't promise success. It promised the chance to pursue it. And that idea, the idea of opportunity, became the most powerful magnet in human history. It created a culture where ambition wasn't something to be ashamed of, but something to be celebrated. The freedom to think, speak, and create without fear of oppression became the launchpad for countless innovations, movements, and breakthroughs. Think about it. When people are free to imagine, they start to believe. When they believe, they begin to act. And when they act consistently with purpose and faith, they start producing results that seem almost miraculous to the outside world. That's exactly what happened in America. The vision rooted in freedom became a platform for individual growth, and through that, national power. This wasn't just about independence from a monarchy. It was about dependence on one's own inner potential. That belief spread from the farms to the factories, from Wall Street to Silicon Valley. The American vision was also unapologetically forward-looking. It was built on the idea that the best is always yet to come. Even in moments of crisis, economic depression, war, civil unrest, the foundational belief never wavered. We can rebuild. We can rise. We can do better. That internal compass toward progress is embedded in the culture. It's why American leaders, thinkers, and creators often speak not just about what is, but what could be. That mindset is contagious. And when a culture believes in future possibility more than past limitation, it begins to generate unstoppable momentum. What's equally important is that this vision of freedom and possibility was not limited to one domain. It spilled into education, economics, art, science, and personal development. Schools taught children they could be anything. Immigrants were told they could start with nothing and build something great. Business leaders were encouraged to disrupt the status quo and dream bigger. This collective mindset created an ecosystem where high performance became normalized, not just expected from the elite, but accessible to the ordinary. And while the American experiment has had its flaws, its growing pains, and its contradictions, the vision that powered its ascent has remained compelling. It is a vision that does not wait for permission. It acts, it builds, it dares. That's a very rare thing in history. A country founded not on geography or bloodlines, but on an idea. And ideas, when fully believed in and pursued with intensity, become forces more powerful than armies or empires. America's power didn't just come from its land or its laws. It came from its limitless vision of what could be possible when people are truly free to become. The entrepreneurial mindset is one of the most powerful forces behind America's rise to global dominance. It is not just about starting businesses or chasing profits. It's a way of thinking, a lens through which individuals view opportunity, challenge, and change. From the earliest settlers to the modern tech innovators, America has consistently cultivated a culture where taking initiative, embracing risk, and creating value are not only encouraged, but celebrated. This mindset became deeply embedded in the American psyche and transformed the nation into a powerhouse of innovation and economic leadership. In the American entrepreneurial framework, failure is not seen as a mark of shame, but as a badge of courage. The culture treats setbacks as part of the learning curve, not the end of the road. This unique relationship with failure fosters resilience, experimentation, and a relentless pursuit of progress. Entrepreneurs in America are not paralyzed by fear of loss. They are driven by the potential of what could be gained. That courage to act in the face of uncertainty fuels breakthroughs and propels entire industries forward. This mindset also champions the idea of personal agency, the belief that individuals are responsible for creating their own outcomes. That's a powerful concept. It means success is not dictated by birthright, social class, or external circumstances, but by mindset, effort, and vision. This belief has empowered millions to step out of traditional roles and forge their own paths, often inventing entirely new ways of doing things in the process. The idea that anyone can make it if they work hard and think smart has become a driving narrative in the American dream. Another key component of the entrepreneurial mindset is the focus on value creation. In America, success is often measured not by what you take, but by what you create, what problems you solve, what needs you meet, what innovations you introduce. This results-oriented approach shifts attention away from entitlement and toward contribution. Entrepreneurs are celebrated for building, disrupting, and delivering results that change lives, transform communities, and in some cases reshape the world. Think of pioneers like Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, Steve Jobs, or Elon Musk. Not just businessmen, but visionaries who redefined entire industries. In America, there's also a deep-rooted belief in scalability. Entrepreneurs are not encouraged to think small or just survive. They're taught to think big, to scale, to amplify their impact. This boldness has led to the rise of mega corporations, global brands, and tech platforms that touch billions of lives. The infrastructure of capitalism in America, access to funding, networks of mentorship, legal frameworks for intellectual property, supports and accelerates this kind of growth. It's a system designed to reward risk-takers who have the courage to dream beyond their immediate surroundings. Moreover, the entrepreneurial spirit has never been limited to Silicon Valley or Wall Street. It lives in small towns, in family businesses, in creators, artists, freelancers, and side hustlers. It lives in the single mom building an online store from her kitchen, in the immigrant who opens a restaurant in a city he just arrived in the high school kid coding an app after class. The accessibility of opportunity, combined with a culture that idolizes the self-made individual, constantly feeds the engine of American power and influence. The media, education system, and even national mythology reinforce this mindset. From childhood, Americans are surrounded by stories of individuals who went from rags to riches, from garage startups to global empires. These stories are more than entertainment. They are blueprints, affirmations that entrepreneurial success is not just possible, but expected. This continuous loop of belief, effort, and reward has created a self-sustaining cycle where new generations inherit not only the material wealth, but the mental framework that made it possible in the first place. Innovation and technology have been at the core of America's meteoric rise to global dominance. From the Industrial Revolution to the digital age, the United States has consistently positioned itself at the forefront of transformative change. This wasn't accidental. It was the result of a culture that values questioning the status quo, investing in research, and empowering individuals to think beyond existing boundaries. The pursuit of progress through innovation is embedded in the American identity, and this relentless focus has generated unprecedented levels of growth, influence, and global leadership. America became a land where inventors, scientists, and engineers were not just respected, but celebrated. It rewarded not only hard work, but also original thought. Inventions like the light bulb, the telephone, the airplane, and later the internet were not simply tools. They were symbols of what was possible when people were free to think differently. Institutions like Bell Labs, NASA, and later Silicon Valley became symbols of American ingenuity, producing breakthroughs that redefined industries and reshaped global culture. These innovations didn't just stay within the country. They extended America's reach across every continent, embedding American technology into the infrastructure of the modern world. The country's commitment to science and innovation has always been supported by strategic investments. The government has consistently played a role in funding foundational research through universities, defense contracts, and public-private partnerships. This created a fertile ground for discovery and experimentation. Instead of waiting for other countries to lead, America chose to become the lab of the world, producing not just products, but platforms, systems, and technologies that would become indispensable to everyday life. Whether in medicine, transportation, energy, or computing, America has been a birthplace of game-changing progress. What sets America apart is not just a quantity of technological output, but the speed of adoption and the scalability of innovation. When an idea proves valuable, it can quickly become widespread due to the country's robust infrastructure, financial systems, and risk-tolerant culture. Startups can rapidly evolve into industry giants, and disruptive technologies can go from garage experiments to global standards within a few years. This accelerated timeline creates a dynamic environment where stagnation is rare and evolution is constant. Another crucial aspect of America's technological dominance lies in its integration of creativity and commerce. Innovation in America doesn't just come from labs and universities. It often comes from individuals seeking to solve everyday problems in novel ways. The entrepreneurial ecosystem embraces tech-driven solutions, and the market responds favorably to useful, user-friendly innovations. This consumer responsiveness drives continuous improvement, pushing creators and companies to keep innovating or risk being left behind. The hunger for what's next becomes a national mindset, driving a cycle of perpetual advancement. Moreover, the American education system, especially at the higher levels, has long prioritized STEM fields and research. Universities like MIT, Stanford, and Caltech are not only educational institutions, but hubs of innovation and collaboration. They attract the brightest minds from around the world, creating a brain trust that fuels America's technological superiority. These institutions don't operate in isolation. They work closely with industries and investors, forming innovation pipelines that bring ideas to market faster and more efficiently than most other nations can match. Global influence has also been amplified by America's dominance in digital platforms. Companies like Google, Apple, Microsoft, Facebook, and Amazon are not just businesses, they are digital empires shaping how billions of people work, communicate, shop, and live. These platforms set standards for user experience, privacy, information flow, and digital infrastructure. The world now interacts daily with American-made technology, often without even realizing it. This level of embedded influence translates into power, not through force, but through function. By designing the tools the world uses, America maintains a quiet yet commanding presence across the globe. America's rise to power has been strategically supported by its global influence and alliances, built not just through military might or economic leverage, but through careful diplomacy, long-term planning, and the cultivation of mutually beneficial relationships. From the end of World War II onward, the United States took a proactive role in shaping the global order. Rather than retreating into isolation, it positioned itself as a leader, an architect of systems, treaties, and partnerships that would define the modern world. This forward-thinking approach allowed America to extend its reach far beyond its borders, influencing global politics, economics, and culture in ways few other nations have achieved. The establishment of institutions like the United Nations, NATO, the World Bank, and the International Monetary Fund all bear the imprint of American leadership. These were not just alliances of convenience, they were mechanisms of influence. By playing a central role in the creation and ongoing operation of these institutions, the United States secured a seat at every important table, gaining the ability to shape global rules and norms. These organizations became platforms where America could extend its values, protect its interests, and support its allies while maintaining a framework that promoted global stability under its leadership. America's alliances have also been built on a reputation for strength and reliability. Nations around the world have often looked to the U.S. for support in times of crisis, not just because of its military power, but because of its consistency in leadership. Whether responding to conflicts, natural disasters, or economic turmoil, the United States has positioned itself as a first responder, a stabilizing force, and a strategic partner. This global reliability earned it trust, influence, and a wide network of international allies that reinforced its global standing. Trade agreements have played a crucial role as well. By creating and joining economic pacts, the United States has opened up markets, secured resources, and established long-term economic interdependence with key regions around the world. These agreements weren't just about profit, they were about positioning. By integrating the American economy with others through strategic trade, the U.S. built economic alliances that created both dependence and opportunity. Countries that do business with America on a large scale often align politically and diplomatically as well, leading to a form of soft power that strengthens America's global hand without the use of force. Military alliances have also been a central pillar of strategic influence. Through NATO and bilateral defense agreements, the U.S. has created a network of military relationships that span the globe. These partnerships do more than just deter threats. They also embed American presence in strategic locations, allowing for rapid response, intelligence sharing, and joint operations. The existence of U.S. bases in Europe, Asia, the Middle East, and beyond gives America a physical footprint that supports its global posture, enhances security cooperation, and signals commitment to its partners. Cultural diplomacy has added another dimension to American influence. Through educational exchange programs, foreign aid, and global media, the U.S. has consistently worked to export not just its goods, but its ideals. The American brand, built on democracy, freedom, and opportunity, has been intentionally spread around the world. The Peace Corps, Fulbright scholarships, USAID initiatives, and countless cultural programs all play a role in creating goodwill and aligning other nations with American values. This long-term, strategic, soft power approach often proves more effective than coercion, as it generates genuine connection and admiration. Perhaps most significantly, the American model of strategic influence is built on the principle of integration. Political, economic, military, and cultural efforts are not isolated. They work together, reinforcing one another to create a comprehensive web of influence. By simultaneously investing in strong military alliances, dynamic economic partnerships, influential global institutions, and widespread cultural outreach, America has created a presence in the world that is difficult to challenge and nearly impossible to ignore. America's mastery of media and cultural impact has been one of the most powerful and underestimated pillars of its global dominance. While military strength and economic clout are visible forms of power, cultural influence operates more subtly, yet often more deeply. It shapes perceptions, creates desires, and establishes norms on a global scale. From the early days of Hollywood to the rise of digital media platforms, America has used storytelling, entertainment, and mass communication not only to reflect its identity, but to project it outward and shape the worldview of billions. Hollywood was one of the first major vehicles for American cultural influence. It didn't just produce movies, it produced narratives about freedom, individuality, heroism, and success. These stories were exported around the globe, creating emotional connections with audiences far beyond American borders. Over time, American films, television, and music became cultural staples in countries with completely different languages, histories, and traditions. This constant exposure to American ideals and lifestyles subtly influenced the way people dressed, spoke, consumed, and even voted. America didn't just dominate screens, it began to dominate the imagination of the world. This cultural presence extended further with the rise of television, radio, and global news networks. Outlets like CNN brought American perspectives on world events into homes across the globe. News wasn't just information, it became a narrative shaped by American values of democracy, freedom, and capitalism. Through these channels, the United States shaped not only the content, but also the framework through which much of the world came to understand global affairs. The impact of this was profound, especially in regions emerging from conflict or authoritarian control, where American media offered not just entertainment, but a glimpse into an entirely different way of life. Music has also played a defining role. From jazz and blues to rock, hip-hop, and pop, American music has not only entertained the world, but defined generational identities. Each genre carried with it a cultural message, often rooted in struggle, rebellion, freedom, or self-expression. American artists became global icons, and their influence went far beyond music charts. They shaped fashion, language, and even political consciousness. Music became a cultural export that resonated on emotional, social, and political levels, creating a powerful sense of connection to American culture. The digital revolution only magnified this influence. Platforms created in America, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Netflix, TikTok, have become the global stage for media consumption. American content dominates these platforms, setting global trends and redefining modern culture in real time. Through streaming services, people in rural villages and major cities alike are watching the same shows, hearing the same music, and engaging with the same influencers. The lines between national identities blur as American digital culture becomes a kind of universal language, especially among youth. In this way, cultural influence becomes both persistent and personal. Advertising and branding have also been areas of exceptional mastery. American companies don't just sell products. They sell lifestyles, emotions, and identities. Brands like Nike, Coca-Cola, Apple, and Disney are recognized and revered across continents. Their messages, often crafted through sleek marketing and emotionally resonant storytelling, carry far more than commercial appeal. They symbolize innovation, aspiration, and achievement. In doing so, these brands not only drive global commerce, but embed American ideals into the daily lives of millions. Education and entertainment increasingly blend in America's media influence. Documentaries, podcasts, social commentary shows, and educational YouTube channels all reinforce a worldview that celebrates inquiry, ambition, and personal development. This soft power shapes not just what people watch, but how they think. America becomes more than a country. It becomes an idea, a lifestyle, a symbol of possibility. By mastering the media, America has mastered one of the most enduring forms of influence, the ability to shape hearts, minds, and cultures without ever setting foot on foreign soil. The unshakable belief in the American dream has been one of the most powerful driving forces behind America's ascent to global power. It is more than a slogan or a cultural myth. It is a deep-seated conviction that no matter who you are, where you come from, or what your circumstances may be, you can rise, you can succeed, and you can shape your own destiny. This belief has energized generations of Americans and attracted millions from around the world who came not for handouts, but for the chance to earn something greater through vision, grit, and persistence. At the heart of the American dream is the idea of meritocracy, the belief that effort and talent should determine success, not class, heritage, or privilege. This core idea rewrote the rules of ambition and opportunity. It created a psychological environment where striving for more was not only accepted, but expected. People began to believe that limitations were temporary and that through hard work, education, and resilience, they could transcend their current situation. This mindset has been a powerful motivator, driving people to innovate, to take risks, and to build lives and legacies that were previously unimaginable. The American dream also fostered a deep connection between personal achievement and national identity. To succeed was not only a personal victory, it was a contribution to the larger American story. This sense of purpose gave individuals a reason to aim high and to tie their ambitions to something greater than themselves. Entrepreneurs, inventors, artists, educators, and everyday workers all saw their individual success as part of a collective promise. A promise that said, if you put in the work, you could rise. This sense of unity through ambition created a kind of moral fuel that helped propel the nation forward through both prosperous and difficult times. Immigrants have long been one of the most visible embodiments of the American dream. People from every corner of the globe arrived with nothing but hope, determination, and the belief that they could make it in America. And many did. They built businesses, raised families, contributed to science, the arts, education, and the military. Their stories became symbols of what America stood for and served as constant reminders that the dream was not just a fantasy, but a real and tangible possibility. These stories didn't just inspire others. They reinforced America's image as a land of endless opportunity. The educational system in America has played a crucial role in sustaining this belief. From an early age, children are told they can become anything they want to be. Schools, colleges, and universities are built around the idea of unlocking individual potential. Higher education in particular has been a ladder to upward mobility for countless individuals who leverage knowledge as a tool to break cycles of poverty and access new opportunities. This focus on learning and self-improvement fueled innovation and productivity, further strengthening the economy and the country's global position. The American dream has also influenced policy and leadership. Elected officials, regardless of political affiliation, often ground their messages in the promise of expanding opportunity. Infrastructure investments, job creation plans, educational reforms, and support for small businesses are frequently justified by their ability to make the dream more accessible. This ongoing political attention to upward mobility reflects how deeply the dream is embedded in the national consciousness. It is not just a personal belief, it is a national imperative that shapes how resources are allocated and how progress is measured. The cultural reinforcement of the American dream through books, films, speeches, and success stories ensures that the belief persists even in the face of hardship. During times of economic downturn, social upheaval, or crisis, the dream serves as a beacon. It reminds people that struggle is not the end, and that better days are always possible. This resilience of belief is what makes it so powerful. It's not just about material wealth. It's about agency, dignity, and the ability to rise by one's own effort. That inner conviction has been a force multiplier, turning ordinary people into high achievers and transforming a young nation into a global leader.